Hello everybody, this is another Hot Wheels Collector video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Honda Civic Si. Before we go any further, I would like to mention that this casting first debuted in 2000, however it was retooled in 2020 to make this casting a little bit more up to scratch with modern day standards. I would also like to mention that this car does feature in the 2024 J Imports mini series, and this is car number 2 out of 10 in that set. I would also like to mention that this is car number 45 out of 250 for 2024. Now then, I will quickly mention where I actually found this car then. So I found this car in a local Smyth's toy superstore, and this car cost me £1.69. That's sort of the standard price here in the UK. However, it's a very good price for such new stock, because as you'll know, the 2024 B case is very new, and it's just hitting stores now. I've been seeing that you guys in the US are also getting the 2024 B case right now as well, and that is great to see. I actually first heard that Smyths were getting B cases through a Facebook group. So I went to my local Smyths at opening time on a Saturday, and they had literally put out everything from the B case. I found everything I wanted, including all the new castings, all the new recolours, including this one, which is highly desirable, and I also managed to find the treasure hunt for that case as well. So all in all, I could not be happier with that hunt. It was definitely a successful one. But anyways, let me give you some facts about the real life car. And the highest power engine available for this car was a 1.6 litre inline-4 VTEC engine, and this engine produced 160 horsepower and 153 Nm of torque, converting to around 113 pound-feet of torque. This car also had a top speed of 129 miles per hour, which converts to 207 kilometers per hour. This car also had a 0 to 60 time in approximately 8 seconds. Of course, this car was front-wheel drive. It also had a 5-speed manual transmission, and this generation of Honda Civic Si began production in 1989, and this production ran for 11 years, and that lasted until the year 2000. And this car, when it was new, had an original sticker price of $23,400 in 2000, of course, and that converts to £18,300. And now, a good condition Honda Civic Si is worth around $16,500 US, and that converts to £12,900. But anyways, that is it for the facts about this thing, so now let's move on to my showcase of the Hot Wheels model. Alright, so kicking off this showcase then, we'll first of all take a look at the side of this car, and I'll first of all mention the wheel choice on this thing. So this car is rolling on the 5-spoke wheels, which first ever debuted in 1995, so I think it's very fair to say that these wheels are not new at all. Now on this car they have been primarily done in black, and they do have a nice chrome red lip painted onto them. Now I'm not a big fan of these wheels on this car. I think it's because the rim part of this wheel looks far too small for this car's design, and hence I think they look quite out of place on this car. It's a real shame, as if the Hot Wheels team had chose a better wheel choice for this thing, I think this release of this casting would have been way better, and I personally would have liked it a lot more. But anyways, onto the colour of this car then. It's all being painted in this metallic gold or yellow colour. This colour is very, very similar to the 2022 Honda Civic Type R Super Treasure Hunt, which was a lot of people's favourite Super Treasure Hunt for 2022. So I think this car being painted in a very similar colour is definitely not a bad thing, and I actually think that this casting suits this gold colour pretty nicely indeed. Initially I wasn't expecting much from this release of this casting, simply because usually I think when gold is put on cars it looks a bit ricer, but on this casting it doesn't look too bad at all. But anyways, next up for the tamper work on the side of this thing then. There is no tamper work here, but honestly it's not too bad, as there's really no details missing that would have needed to have been tampered on here. But next up for the metal casting and plastic usage, we've got a decent amount of detail here, so let's get straight into it. First of all, I will mention that this car does have wing mirrors in the metal casting. We also do have the door handles of this car featuring in the metal casting as well. I almost forgot to mention, but not only do the door handles feature in the metal casting, but so does the door lock, and that does feature just below the door handle of this car. We also do have this car's side trim featuring in the metal casting here too. I would also like to mention that this car's side skirt has been created through the metal itself. It has not been created through the black base plastic. I would also like to mention that this car's side window is wound down, and whilst we are here, I would like to mention that this car's windows are not tinted at all. Hopefully you can see that the interior plastic of this car is red, and I would also like to mention that this car is left-hand drive. But there you go, that's really it for the side of this thing then. It has a very nice side profile indeed. I really do wish that the wheel choice was better, but other than that, I have no complaints so far. So let's move straight onto the front of this thing then. Alright, so next up, taking a look at the front of this car then, we do actually have some tampo work here. We've also got some detail in the metal casting and also in the plastic usage. So let's get straight into it. First of all, I would like to mention that this car's headlights have been tampoed on here in a realistic look. We also do have the Honda badge here tampoed on here in silver, and we also do have the front grille of this car featuring in the metal casting as well here. That is in the form of an indentation. It is not a hole or shut off in the metal casting, it is just an indentation. It does not lead through to any plastic, so it doesn't look super 3D, but it still looks alright. Next up, I would like to mention that the lower vents of this car also do feature in the metal casting here. However, these are a hole or shut off in the metal casting and do lead through to the black base plastic, which this car does have. So that does give these lower vents a lot more of a 3D look, which looks great on this car. It also looks a lot more realistic. And the final thing which I do want to mention is the lower portion of the front bumper or the front splitter of this car has been created through the metal casting itself. It is not created through the black base plastic. But there you go, that's really it for the front of this thing, so now let's move on to the next side of this car. Alright, so taking a look at the next side of this car then, it is the exact same as the previous, so I'm not going to bore you with going over everything all over again. You can pause the video here and have a look at this side for yourself if you are looking for something specific. If not, let's move straight onto the rear of this car. Alright, so taking a look at the rear of this car then, we do have some tampo work here. We've also got some detail in the metal casting, once again, very much like the front, and we've also got some plastic usage. So once again, let's get straight into it. So first of all, we do have the Honda badge here, tampoed on here in silver. We've also got a license plate tampoed on here in black, and that does have a Hot Wheels logo on there. Now they have created the Hot Wheels logo by not tampoing a certain area, and hence that Hot Wheels logo has been done in gold, the same colour as the rest of the body of the car. In that Hot Wheels logo we do have the Hot Wheels writing, and that has been done in black, the same black the rest of the license plate has been done in. Next up, I would like to mention that this car's rear lights have been tampoed on here in a realistic look. Now these rear lights do include the brake light, which has been done in red, the turn signal light, and also the reverse light, which has been done in this whitish silver colour. And the final bit of tampo work featuring on the rear of this car is the SI badge, which has been tampoed on here in red. Hopefully you can also see that the Civic badge has been tampoed on here in the same silver the Honda badge has. This is accurate to the real life car. But anyways, that is it for the tampo work on the rear of this thing then. So now onto the metal casting and plastic usage. So first of all, I will mention that this car's spoiler does feature in the metal casting here, and the spoiler on this car is very large, and I think it suits this car fantastically. It just looks so good. Very good job from the Hot Wheels team there. This spoiler of course is modified, as with the rest of the car, as you can probably tell. And another thing which has been modified about the rear of this car is the rear bumper, and this rear bumper does have 3 vents in it, which are in the metal casting and are there in the form of an indentation. Once again, those don't feature on the standard Honda Civic Si. The front bumper of this car is also completely different. I didn't mention it when we were taking a look at the front, but you've probably already noticed that, yeah, it's not stock. I would also like to mention that this car's license plate holder does feature in the metal casting here as well, in the form of an indentation. And the final thing which I do want to mention is this car's exhaust has been created through the black base plastic. But anyways, that is it for the rear of this car then. So now let's move on to the top of this thing. Alright, so taking a look at the top of this car then, the detail does not stop yet. So first of all, you can see the spoiler which does feature in the metal casting from a top view. Next up, we do have two speakers, which I would presume are subwoofers, featuring in the trunk portion of this car. Now then, these speakers do feature in the interior plastic, which of course is done in reds, and this is very period correct, as a lot of people in the 2000s had crazy sound systems in their cars. Next up, I will mention that this car does have a sunroof, and this sunroof has been created through the window plastic there. Next up, I will mention that this car does have windshield wipers. These windshield wipers are in the see-through window plastic there. It's a small detail, but it does make a massive difference for me. It just makes this car look a lot more complete and realistic. Now then, that will affect my score at the end of this video in a positive way, which is nice to be able to say about this thing. And the final details which we do have feature on the hood. So first of all, I'll talk about the metal casting. So you can see there are two vents featuring on the hood of this car, and these vents are in the form of an indentation in the metal casting. They are not a hole or shut off and do not lead through to any plastic. Next up, I would like to mention that the entire hood of this car has been tampered with this carbon fibre effect. Now this gives this car a lot more of a modified look, which I think looks very nice with the gold colour. And honestly, when I saw this car being unboxed for the first time on Ministry of Diecast's channel, I wasn't sure how good the carbon fibre effect would look, but it does look very good and looks very accurate to real life carbon fibre. And the final thing which I do want to mention is this car does have two hood pins, and these hood pins have been tampered on here. They do not feature in the metal casting, they are simply just tamper, and these have been tampered on here in a mixture of grey and silver. But anyways, that is it for the top of this thing, and that is also it for my showcase of this car. So now let's move on to my final thoughts and review on this thing. Alright, so now it is time for my final thoughts and review on this car. I'm a big fan of this casting. I think it's one of the best castings in the Hot Wheels lineup, and I genuinely love the look of this release of this casting. The only complaint I do have is the wheel choice. I've already mentioned, I think the rims look far too small. I wish that the Hot Wheels team had put a different wheel choice on this car. I think it would have looked a lot better. But I really do like the aesthetic of this release of this casting. It's way different looking to the 2021 release in blue, which I also do have in my collection. That was going for a more factory fresh look, whereas this one is going for a more modified look, as you can clearly tell by the carbon fibre hoods. Now then, I really do like the colour of this car as well. I think it suits this casting very nicely. The tamper work is very nice as well. There's plenty of it, and the Hot Wheels team have been very generous with their tamper on this thing. I've already mentioned that I'm not a big fan of the wheel choice on this car. That is just how it is though, unfortunately, and that will affect my score at the end of this video in a negative way. That is really unfortunate. I will mention that I do like the fact that this car does have wing mirrors, and I also love the fact that it's got those windshield wipers. Both of those being there will affect my score in a positive way, because it's a small detail but it does make a massive difference for me. It just makes this car look a lot more realistic in my opinion. And the final thing which I love about this car is the interior plastic and how it is being done in red. I think it makes this car look a lot more sporty, which adds to the modified look that this car is going for. But anyways, that does lead me onto my score out of 10 for this car. So what am I going to give this car out of 10? It is going to be receiving a totally deserved 9 out of 10. Honestly, if it had better wheels on it, it would have got a 10 out of 10, but those wheels I think look pretty bad on this car. It's alright if you like them, let me know in the comments if you do like these wheels, but I'm just not a big fan on this car. But anyways, that is it for this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Remember, you can also press that notification bell so you do not miss new uploads. Remember, you can also share this video with any friends, family, or any groups who may be interested. But remember, don't feel pressure to if you don't feel like you have anybody who may be interested. You watching this video all the way to the end means so much to me, and I really do thank you for making it all the way up until this point. But anyways, that is it for this video, so I hope you guys did enjoy, and I really do hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye everyone.